My name is Sara Kwiecień, and this is my presentation for Positions and Practice for MA Photography course at Falmouth University. I will talk about my origins and how it shaped my identity. I'll also try analyze my practice from the initial stage to the present day, considering the influence of other creators on my practice, and share reflections on current and future projects. I grew up in a small city in western Poland. Poverty, addictions, and violence I witnessed and experienced as a young girl made me very sensible and mindful observer. As a result, I took over adult roles very quickly and was diagnosed as overmature by a psychologist. When I was 8, my grandmother took care of me and my siblings. Grandma raised us in a spirit of a very orthodox Christian faith. I was surrounded by sacred art. The biblical scenes painted on the walls of the church were fascinating and somewhat frightening in the eyes of the child. Window vitrages made sunlight colorful and magical. I remember dust practices in that noble scenery. Creating and caring about sacrum above profanum became my method of dealing with trauma. Finding and creating alternative worlds in books and poetry always helped me survive tough times. I also spend a lot of time alone in the nearby forest observing nature. I believe that connection let me draw inspiration from the most perfect natural mechanisms, cycles, and rules. I've always felt the need to create and share my world. Initially, I gave an outlet to this energy through music. Then, I started studying cultural animation, specializing in theater. I discovered Stanislavski's system there, according to which the actor plays the role using his own experiences and real emotions connected with it. It had a huge impact on my future photographic practice. I found it as a medium where I can transfer Stanislavski's method. I'm very familiar with Zdzisław Beksiński's inner landscapes, as he called his paintings. His dark, deep, heavy creations can arouse fear and anxiety. It's all about fulfilling image with emotions and mood to touch receiver's soul in a way. Sometimes it can be used to bring attention to some issues, or simply let that person stop and focus on feelings. At the beginning, I photographed the world around me and its beauty in the simplicity of the moment. But my photographs became a mirror of my feelings shortly. Influenced by such artists as Jane Bone or Cartier-Bresson, I became interested in portraiture. Their ability to create very strong portraits full of meaning by using very simple methods and techniques inspired me to try to reflect people's personalities with the image. In many of my photographs, the relationship between men and their surrounding nature is clearly visible. In my further work, I would like to look at the problem of the impact of the environment in which we grow up and the events of childhood on our adult life, behaviors, choices, and values. Based on Freud's unconscious mind theory, my research project is reflection of how the subconscious pushes us to specific reactions and behaviors. Freud argued that human mind resembles an iceberg, which is split into three distinct parts. The visible tip of the iceberg represents the conscious mind. Decisions from conscious are a result of willpower or logic. Beneath the tip, and just within reach of the surface, is the preconscious mind. The preconscious is made up of information that we know and can access, but might not be actively considering. The most substantial part of the iceberg that plunges deep into the water represents subconscious. The instinct for survival and emotions drive this area of the mind, and these instincts, in turn, prompt conscious behavior. I will also look at dreams as fulfillment of our wishes and reflection of our fears. Is our superego, as Freud claimed, really constantly controlling the ego? What creates our superego, and how does this affect our behavioral models? I was inspired by the work of multiple artists, such as Rinko Kawauchi. Her project, The River Embraced Me, encouraged me to think about water as an allegory of the dream. Her soft, fairy tale like images can represent our need of creating sacrum space in our life. But, like Rinko said, it's not enough that it's beautiful. If it doesn't move my heart, it won't move anyone else's heart. According to Beksiński's work and anti-aesthetic movement, I would even say it doesn't necessarily need to be beautiful if it can move someone's heart. That can lead us to man race photographs. There were great inspiration to try different methods and techniques in my research project. His surreal, disturbing portraits force receiver to investigate what's the story behind that image. Antoine D'Agata is using similar expression to talk about society problems like addictions and prostitution through his images. I found it very inspirational how he can communicate the issue with all emotions and fears associated with it. I intend to use my body as a tool to a large extent, as did Elina Boders in her work. I try to create a series full of intimacy and connect with the observer as close as is possible with the image. I think my research project will be a good introduction to further exploring of the association between our childhood and adulthood. I would like to focus on the topic of the lost childhood. Using D'Agata's word, it's not how photographer looks at the world that is important. It's their intimate relationship with it, I believe. It's not just outside world would interest me, but also our inner landscapes, unexplored spaces full of secrets and treasures that need a proper mirror.